Hello and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker and I'm your host. And today, just like any other day, is we want to focus on how can you work smarter. Now, we're in the midst of the pandemic. Who knows when the pandemic is going to be, I'll say it in quotes, over. So we really need to think about the strategies, the digital strategies that we are employing so that we're not reliant on being in front of people. And so that's why I brought David Rothwell together today as an expert in this space. He's a digital marketing and online advertising expert with 15 years remote and home working experience with Google Ads, and Google Merchant Center and Google Shopping. And he's just recently written a book around this whole topic. So we're going to really pick his brain today so that we can get a better understanding of what we can do in this even more important time for digitalization. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me, Penny.
My pleasure. So, you said this is old news to you to be working from home and doing this digital thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I call it abnormally normal because, things are seriously abnormal, but my work and what I do and how I do it and who I do it for has not changed for the last 15 years that I've been doing this. I've been working from home, working remotely for online businesses, service providers, physical and digital product businesses, with Google Ads specifically. I was in the early days of getting involved with that. 2005 was when I went professional, and it happened by accident because I was an IT manager for a long time, 20 years career in IT. I got laid off in the dot-com crash, 2001. Soon after that was 9/11, and just couldn't get back into full-time work in my corporate career any longer. So was kind of forced online, wanted to get out there with my consulting, IT and telecoms and network consulting, needed a website, needed to get found in Google, got into the whole website SEO, Google AdWords thing as it was called back then, Google Ads now, and been here ever since. And published a couple of books along the way on Amazon, and this is still what I'm doing after 15 years.
So, is digital marketing any more important today than it was in the past, do you think, because of the situation?
Clearly, yes, because there's going on now with, like you said at the intro, the pandemic situation is there is a digital land grab going on because so many businesses and business owners now just can't do physically what they've been doing for, however many years they've been doing it for. Events, in-person, physical type things. Everybody's been forced to go online with it. And I was just accidentally there, in the early stages of it, and I've carried on, with it over this amount of time. But if you can't be online now, think about food and restaurants and home deliveries and click and collect and stuff like that. You can't go and eat out. You can't go to events. There's tons of things you can't go to physically any longer. So digitally, you've got to do the equivalent of that. And that is not new. That's been around for 20 years. It's just that now people are left with no choice but to do that instead of what they were doing before.
So do you think that those people who are investing in Google Ads are going to be better off than those who are not investing in Google Ads?
Excuse me. I always put it like this, that since 2005, when I first got professional in this, there's a lot more ways to reach people online. There's all the social channels, there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's others. And they're all important and they all have their audiences and they all have their way of working. But the thing that makes Google Ads so different and unique from everything else is that it's search based, which is to say people go and look, they type stuff into Google search and they say what they're interested to know more about. They tell you what they're looking for. So I call it digital telepathy. It's like mind reading because they're telling
Right.
you what they want. And also it's I also call it the ultimate in permission-based advertising, because again, people are giving you their permission to show your stuff. They expect to find you when they look for things.
And they're
So
more likely to take action, right? Than you
yes,
sticking an ad in front of somebody's face who wasn't
precisely.
interested, right? If I'm
Yes.
on Facebook, like those ads become really annoying to me. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
sometimes if I keep seeing the same people because Facebook thinks you're going to like this, no, really, you're going to like
Yes.
this. And
Yes.
I'm like, no, I'm
No, go
not going to
away.
like this. And I actually
Yeah.
get like more annoyed every time that I see that
Yeah.
person's ad.
Yeah. It's digital stalking
Yeah.
going on here. They're following you around, and very, very clever technology underlies it. It's all
Yeah.
about
That
it's all
doesn't mean
about
we like it.
no, that's quite true. But that suffers from the same fundamental problem that many advertisers run into who are doing Google ads, which is all about targeting, which is to reach the right people at the right time, in the
Right.
right circumstances, and all of those things, and pitch your offer. So Google is more, at least as far as Google search is concerned. So if you go to google.com, google.co.uk, google.co, whatever, you go and search specifically, that is completely different to all those other things, which are interruption based: TV ads,
Yeah.
commercials, radio ads, Facebook ads. They're all interruptions, so they're very different. That's not to say they don't work. They can work like gangbusters. They can work
Sure.
really well. But again, it's all down to this targeting thing, which is reaching the right audience. And this is where everybody, well, many advertisers who are using both those platforms and others, come unstuck because they don't know how that targeting works.
Right.
You only get to figure that out by spending a lot of time working with it.
Right. I personally like the idea of Google ads for that reason, is that people are searching. So
Yeah.
they want something now. So
Yes.
your likelihood to be able to convert them into whatever you're converting them into, whether it's a free thing, an informational thing, or whether it's already, making a meeting with you or whatever. I mean, for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
you and I work together, and for me, it's been helpful for me to get set up, and I did that in the beginning of the year, just before the pandemic, which
Yeah.
was
That's right.
actually really good for me, because
Mm.
it takes some time too for things to work. But everyone who's coming to my website is having an event, right? If I'm looking for my keynotes, they're searching for
Yes.
a motivational speaker and they're having an event. So I know those people
Absolutely.
that are hitting
Yeah.
my site are
Yeah. They're the
people
right
who are
ones.
ready to buy something, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
very rarely is somebody just on the look. They usually have a project and they're doing that. And
Yeah.
so, I've seen that to be hugely valuable, because a number of other platforms that I have that I was using to generate those types of leads are not working anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Since the pandemic, like the traffic has gone away, and that traffic has actually increased. And so, I'm a big fan of looking for these digital ways to find people who are having the problem that you're solving and
Yeah.
targeting them correctly,
Yeah.
and then being able to convert them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are the common mistakes that people make, that you can advise people on? Because maybe they're shying away because, oh, I tried that and it doesn't work, or right, what are you seeing on that side?
Okay. Well, this is kind of a good lead into my book, actually, my latest book. I've published a couple since 2014 and contributed to a couple of others. And if people want to find those, just look on Amazon for my name, David Rothwell, and you'll find all my material there. So my latest book, Ask the PPC Manager, is really all about how you can make this stuff work properly and correctly and avoid all the mistakes that I've seen people do for the past 15 years. And it's based on a real case study, a 10-year relationship I had with a client who is a professional service provider as opposed to a physical product provider. So physical and digital products are quite different. Physical things go in a box and get shipped. Digital things are delivered, online. So that's subscriptions, memberships, downloads, software as a service, tickets, to events, virtual events these days, remote ones, not physical ones. And I worked with this client for 10 years, and he'd just gotten started in 2006 with a new business. So he didn't know what to do, he didn't know how to reach people, were people looking for him. And we got him online, got his ads showing up, and pardon me, he was really successful with this, and he grew his business every year. It's highly seasonal because he was an airport transfer guy. So winter ski transfers in Switzerland was his game. So object of what we were doing was to get literally butts on seats, people sitting in his buses, transferring from Geneva Airport to the Swiss ski resorts. And he was really successful with this. We grew his business every year, year on year on year for 10 years running. And he was so successful, he bought out 2 competitors, sold his business to an international travel company. And I wrote up his case study in really fine detail. I was curious to know, well, okay, how come this was just so incredibly successful for this guy, when it was really pretty straightforward from the Google Ads campaign management side of things. There's a lot more to this whole thing. It's not just the campaigns, it's the website, it's the offer, it's the prices, it's the sales process, it's the average order value, customer lifetime value, a lot of numbers in here that are underneath it all. So I wrote the case study up, and then I decided to tell the story of this case study, but in a slightly different way than just kind of, describing it. And back in 2013, I read a really, really good book called Built to Sell by John Warrillow. And he's written a couple of other great books as well. But he was telling his business story. He builds and sells businesses. And he tells the story of that in a fictional way. And in 2013, when I read it, I thought that was just such an interesting approach to telling a real thing. So I thought I'd like to have a go at that. So I registered a domain name, and then years and years and years and years went by before I kind of got around to it. And it's COVID that made that happen, really, for me, writing that story. I'd started writing my next book, as I thought, and I was in Asia. I was supposed to be in Asia for 4 months on a remote working, program. And I was 3 weeks in Hanoi, Vietnam, which was fabulous. And then, the whole world just went crazy. So I had to get back home. And when I got back, I started to really think, well, okay, what am I going to do now? And all the circumstances are different. So I decided to write that story, which is what the latest book is. And it tells people in a very, very simple way, here's what we did. We started with this, nothing. And we did this, and we did this, and we did this, and we did this, and we did this. And it's a sequence of events to make all this stuff work correctly, mathematically, numbers-based, math-driven, and how it worked for him and how it can work for other people, other businesses, because the principles are the same. What we're trying to achieve with any of this stuff, call it Facebook, call it Google Ads, call it whatever you want, we take $1 and we put that dollar in and we get more than our dollar back. And every time we put $1 in, we get more than $1 back. And that's what we're trying to do, very simply put. And there are so many business owners who don't grasp that fundamental concept. They think it's fine to put dollars into Google Ads, dollars into Facebook ads, dollars into this, that, and the other, and still not see any money coming back. They might see likes and shares and follows and yada, 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 but they don't see money in the bank. And that's the thing that drives me nuts, which is why I wrote my book about this case study is, well, here's how you actually do this. Follow this journey and you could do the same thing.
So if I'm hearing you, is the number one mistake is that they're throwing money at it without seeing it to the end as to where the return on investment is. So that
yes, exactly. Yeah,
okay. So
that's exactly it, Penny. So many people are going about it backwards, as I write about in the book, which is to say, people think, and in this situation with COVID, people are going to think, well, shucks, I've got to get online. That means I need a website or a web presence or whatever. Fine, I've done that. I've built a website or I've used a platform to do it for me, like Book Like a Boss or VCter or whatever. And then they think, okay, now I need people. How do I get them? Okay, I'll go to Facebook or I'll go to Google or whatever, and I'll buy them and get the clicks. But they haven't figured out their average order value, their customer lifetime value, their sales process, their conversion rate. They don't even know their cost per click to start with until they're doing this. And these are the numbers that you have to have to calculate whether the thing is making money for you or not. And unless you do that work to begin with, you just go to the end of the thing. You know, you start with campaigns instead of starting with your business, then your numbers, then the money, and finally the people, which is the targeting and the campaigns. That comes last.
Right.
So lots of people are going about it just completely the in reverse order.
So it's because people are so tactical. And, you know, somebody says you need to be in this. So without understanding what it is that makes it successful to be in it, they're like, okay, I'll get in it. I mean, I've seen that many times as well, is, you know, people just don't understand strategically the process in which order they need to do it. And if you do it backwards, you're just throwing your money away.
That's exactly it. And so many businesses do that, and they've been doing it for 15 years. I still see it now, today, you know, speaking to clients or prospective clients this week who are doing this stuff, and they still don't know that they're going about it the wrong way. So then, of course, everybody says who's tried it, they say, because what happens is they try it and it's too complicated and they lose some money. And then they give it to an agency, and the agency says, oh, this is going to take weeks or months to figure out, and, you know, come back to us and we'll tell you what's going on. And then, you know, time goes by and time goes by and time goes by, and you say, well, what's happening? And they're like, oh, we're still experimenting, we're still doing it. And I'm like, well, no, this stuff can work really, really quick. It can work in 60 minutes or a few hours or a few days or whatever, you know, really. It's not, you're right, it's coming at it from the tactical point of view rather than the strategic. What have all the things got to be joined up in place to make this thing actually work? Then of course people say it doesn't work, you know, Google Ads doesn't work, or it's too expensive. And I'm like, well, it does work, absolutely. It's not about what it costs, it's about the money that you make. That's the point. And you can say it's too expensive and then go to Facebook for cheaper clicks, but you've still got the same underlying fundamental problem of you haven't figured out your business and your numbers and the money before you go off and buy clicks, no matter where you buy them from.
Yep. And you know, it's, you know, you said that, you know, it may take, or people go away and they've spent weeks and months trying to get somewhere, you know, why might it take, why does it take time to figure out and get the machine working? I think we live in an age of impatience, right? Sure. So, or not an age, I mean, well, anyway, I know the American population, don't want to put that upon you, as obviously you're not American, but, you know, we tend to be more impatient about things. And I think it is with all the digital age, with text messages that get responded within, like, you know, less than 3 minutes. We're impatient. We expect results quickly. So, you know, what can we do to set our expectations correctly? And why does it take some time?
This is all great stuff. And I'll tell you, you are not any more impatient than I am. I am a very impatient person. I always have been. I've had the pleasure of working for and with American companies since 1985. When I was hired by a California-based company, and I've worked for another big American company, KLA Tenkel Corporation, in the 90s. So I'm very familiar with American businesses and American people, and I thoroughly enjoy them. But I am that impatient person, and this is the thing that I like so much about search, is it's very fast. You can position an ad and have it showing within literally minutes of turning it on. And this was the thing that made me really pay attention to it back in 2003, was when I first tried these kinds of ads, because I got a website and I was trying to figure out this SEO stuff. So I have sort of a, you know, an early background in that whole thing. And it was taking weeks to get any result. This is back then when it was hugely simpler and more straightforward and faster to do. So it's way more difficult and challenging these days. So my natural impatience was, well, where the hell is my thing? Why isn't my stuff showing up and other people's is? Then I discovered, these little itty bitty ads and started running a few, and my ad was showing up in, minutes. I'm like, wow, this is absolutely incredible. And that feeling has never left me, even now. I'll turn on an ad for a client and it shows all the things that I've designed into it. And it's like, there it is, it's absolutely fantastic. So the other thing about the impatience thing is, and why sometimes it can take time. And in a situation like yours, it will take time because there's a buy-in cycle. There are things that take time to evaluate and figure out and make a decision on, and something not trivial like, who's going to be my keynote speaker? How do I select them? What's their background, experience, pedigree, all their material and so forth. That isn't a, real quick decision. That takes time to evaluate. So
believe it or not, it's a relatively quick decision. They have quick turnarounds.
Okay.
And I find that they actually do make decisions quickly. The point that I was meaning though, and want to come back to this, and I'll let you finish your thought too. Finish your thought, and then I'll come back to what I was meaning by that.
Okay. So what I found accidentally a bit was that from well-targeted, correctly targeted, reaching the right audience, which we were talking about before, from well-targeted and correctly targeted campaigns, people will visit your site and buy and give you money or book you in 60 minutes or less, 30 to 70% of the time from their very first ad click. So this is, again, all about reaching the right people at the right time, in the right way, with the right offer for the right price in the right place, all those targeting things. And that works one way for Google. It works a different way for Facebook. It works a different way for all the other things. But if you get it right, you'll reach the right people when they're ready, and they will be very, interested and willing to sign up with you.
Right. And getting it right. And this is the point that I was meaning, is there some testing? Isn't there? I mean, anybody who does marketing understands that you've got to throw some different messaging out there. I mean, you did a lot of analysis on keywords and things like that, but then you have to put it out there, and you have to put different variations of it out there so that you can see which ones are pulling better, right?
Yeah.
And that's just marketing 101 as well, with A/B testing. And so it does take time, and that's I think where people don't appreciate that testing takes time, and that you need to tweak and variant and see whether it's in the ad itself or whether it's on the page that they're going to, right? Is there are little tweaks that need to happen all along the way, and they have to be measured and monitored in order to see that.
Yeah, it's very true. The thing that's great about Google Ads, it is a testing lab. It's really great for this. You could try out all kinds of stuff. I have movie quote after movie quote after movie quote that I trot out as I talk to people about this stuff.
Let's hear one.
It's a test designed to evoke an emotional response. Blade Runner.
Okay.
And you once told me not to get emotional about stock, Gordon. Don't. Wall Street. And these things are true because it really is about figuring out what people are interested in and looking for. Now, if you've never run any of this kind of advertising before, you'll have some ideas about what you do and who you do it for and how you do it and how you want to reach people, but you have no data at that point. So you have to run a test. I call it a PPC discovery campaign. And typically I run these for clients for 30 days. And we try some really, really carefully targeted and discussed and agreed upon things to try and reach the right people. Now, for instance, you're a keynote speaker, but you're also a lady keynote speaker, or a woman keynote speaker, or a female keynote speaker. So that is a completely different thing to a male or man or, whatever keynote speaker. Some people looking for a keynote speaker will be agnostic. They don't mind either way. but other people will specifically look for a
That's right.
woman keynote speaker. They might look for a particular topic that person, time management keynote speaker or whatever. So
Right.
now we're really tapping into the the mindset of who's there typing those keywords into Google and telling you what they're looking for. So we want to start with that kind of really narrow focus, because that totally nails your thing. If people are looking for female time management keynote, that's you.
Right.
That's
Right.
absolutely that's 100% totally you, right? So now,
Absolutely. And if they land on my web page because they saw my ad and they see what they want to see, then they're going to book an appointment with me.
of course they are. They're going to take it further, let's say,
Right.
unless you've done the next most important thing, which is to disqualify the wrong people. So what we're doing both with ads and with your landing page, your website, your whole content thing is you are trying to disqualify the people who are not a good fit for you. So even if they're looking for, woman time management keynote, then you might be too pricey, or you might be too cheap. Who knows? You can't make that decision. Only they know what their budget is and their time scale. You may not be available when they want you, and all those kinds of things. So you've got to disqualify the wrong people as much as you can straight away, as well as pre-qualifying the right ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can do this with our ads, our Google ads, in a couple of ways. One is the keywords, which you just talked about, how you trigger the ad, and then it's what that ad says. And the ad says whatever your landing page says about you. So the two of them are, inextricably linked. The ad is a mini shop window setting up what I call the click expectation for people who see the ad, like it, click on it, they come through to the page. Okay, here is what we thought we were going to get. Here's this person. Here's, more about them. And then your sales process takes over from there, whatever that is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what we're running tight on time. So I want to ask you a couple questions that I ask all my guests. And I want to encourage everyone who's listening, go out and check out David's books and, and listen to that case study and see what it is and how you could benefit from doing more with this type of digital marketing. So David, just a couple of sort of productivity types of questions, right? You said you kind of fell in love with the fact that it was like, speed.
Yeah.
You could put it out there and it was immediately online.
Yeah.
To you, how do you define productivity and why?
Okay. This is a really good question. There's a lot that could be said about it, but putting it simply is this. You can be really, really busy and spending an awful lot of your time messing about, fiddling, experimenting, trying stuff out with Google Ads campaigns. But when you've hit something that works, you can really heavily automate big pieces of it. And I discovered this by accident back in like 2010 or so. And I was invited to speak about it at one of Perry Marshall's first conferences in Maui, funnily enough. And what I read these days, still today, is people don't understand this, but there's an awful lot of automation inside Google Ads campaigns. And as impatient as I am, I'm also lazy about things. I don't believe in doing things over and over and over again when I don't need to. So I love systems and processes and procedures and automation. There's an awful lot of automation inside of Google Ads campaigns that you should use under the right circumstances. Doesn't apply to everybody, but for the right, nature of campaigns, they can be very heavily automated. And agencies will tell you, you can't do that. You can't figure this stuff out. You can't use automation. You can't trust Google. They're going to rip you off and all that. And I say, well, that's all wrong, with due respect. And this isn't opinion. This is 15 years of experience of doing this stuff. And I know automation in the right, the right situation with Google Ads campaigns can work absolutely brilliantly. And I don't want to do it any other way. I don't believe in making myself a lot of work that I don't like doing. So let systems do it. So use the automation.
Absolutely. I like that. It's been a theme lately is had a whole discussion on a panel that I was on about someone saying same thing that you said. I say that too, that sometimes I say, well, I'm lazy. So I look for the best way to do it so that
Absolutely.
I can do other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we mean lazy in the sense of
Smart
wanting to do it in the most intelligent way.
Yeah, smart
But
lazy,
I like that.
efficient. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I
So
like that.
one of my main mottos is eliminate, automate, delegate, which is get rid of stuff you don't want to do or the wrong
Absolutely.
stuff, automate systems, processes, procedures, what have you, delegate, give this stuff to other people who can do it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well summed up. So I was going to ask you, but I'm going to take that as your answer is what do you consider to be your shortcut, right? Everybody's sort of got their go-to shortcut. And it sounds like
Yeah.
those are your three go-tos.
Systems, yeah. Systems, automation, elimination, only do stuff that you really need to do it one time and build a system or a process that can do it for you. And don't just keep doing stuff over and over and over again. I mean, there are people who work like that and that's fine for them. It just isn't fine for me. I don't like doing that.
Right. Right. And if you're listening and you have any ambition to take your business to the next level, to do something more impactful in the world, or whatever it is that's important to you, maybe it's even just having more time to spend with your family. It means that you want to be as efficient as possible in doing the things that you're doing and creating the impact that you want to create, right? How can you do that?
Yeah.
And at the same time, do it efficiently and effectively?
Definitely.
So David, thank you so much for being here. Do you have a website that people could visit you on, or anything, anywhere that you want to send them, or anything else you want to share with us before we end the show?
Okay, so look for my name on Amazon. So David Rothwell, you'll then find all my books, including my latest, which is called Ask the PPC Manager. The website for that is asktheppcmanager.com. So you can go there. You can actually read the full book there because it's all actually online. But if you want the copy, digital or physical, then you can go to Amazon to buy it. And I'd just love to have people read it and leave reviews and ask me questions and tell me what they got out of it, and if it helped them or if they've got questions.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, David, so much.
My pleasure. Thanks, Penny.
And thank you guys for listening. So I hope that you were able to get some insight as to how digital marketing is more important now than ever. And it's all part of that strategy of eliminate, delegate and automate. So, in that process is looking for the best ways to do that. And if you are selling something, I find that of course, not in itself, not just focusing on the marketing aspect, but also the conversion. So you want to be understanding where your website is then conversion, getting that whole process in place, but seeing how in this digital age that really that Google ads and being on Google is, in my opinion, depending on your target market, just as effective or more effective because of what David said in terms of people are, I think he called it permission
based marketing.
Permission-based marketing, right? And
yeah.
I like that. I think that that's more strategic and smarter than the other type of marketing, which is a little bit more of that digital stalking. So either one, they might both work for you, but that's why I wanted to have David on the show today. So thank you all for being here. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. I'll see you on the next episode.